Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Phew. Krishna. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Whew. Okay, so Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. What is Krishna trying to show me here? What's he trying to show me? I'm like, oh God. This is diving deep into the depths. Deep into the depths. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're trying to resolve or assimilate or get some light on a relationship with a particular person and why I get so angry, why they make me so angry. I actually become furious. And I'm kind of trying to get some light on it. Thinking about Lord Nrsingadev helps. But trying to unwind it. Why do I have that strong reaction to that person? What is it? I want to know. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, and getting a little bit of light on it. So, fools rush in, where angels fear to tread. I'm going to try to talk about it a little bit. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it's, Krishna has his ways of showing and teaching. It's really out there. Like, I've been having fun with this snake that has decided to live here. It's a very docile It might as well just be like, these little lizards that run around. It might as well just be another lizard, only in a snake body. All he knows how to do is eat and sleep. It's like super mode of ignorance. He'll sleep like 20 hours a day, and then he'll start to move around because he's hungry. He'll head for the wood pile, eat a few lizards and whatever else is in there, and then go back and go to sleep. And that's life. It's mating season, so I think it might be a female, and I think she might be pregnant, so there's babies on the way. But that's it. Eat and sleep, and then when it's mating season, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'm really learning a lot from this creature here, because their body is outrageous. A snake body is outrageous. It's hard to even see there's a person in there. It's just such a weird body. No hands, no legs. It just slithers along. It's like, whoa, what a body to have, for a conscious soul. You have a snake body. Poisonous snake is something else. Poisonous snake you don't want to mess with. But there's millions and millions of other kinds of snakes. They're not poisonous. And they just eat and sleep, basically. And if you don't bother them, they don't bother you. It's just like any other creature out there. Squirrels, the birds. There's a skunk that stops by occasionally, and I pray nobody frightens him. It just is another creature out there. It's just the body is so outrageous. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Reptile, like turtles, frogs, lizards. Super mode of ignorance. Super mode. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, getting back to this person, a few months ago, I saw them, they dropped by, and I wrote them a note. I said they were like a poisonous snake. I told them they were a poisonous snake, because that's what I was experiencing in their association. Very snake-like, very poisonous. It was a horrible feeling, and I voiced it. Whether I should have done that or not is what I did. There's other ways to deal with things, but that's what I did. I'm trying to figure this out because I have such a intense reaction to this person. And I see what it is. I see what it is. And, Prabhupada, he actually said Freud was right, that this sex energy is what perverts everything. He probably said he's right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. In its pure form is Radha and Krishna. It has nothing to do with the material situation, the material bodies. But when it's perverted down through the material forms, then actually it's what's underlying everything. Hare Krishna. Advertising world knows that. You want to sell toothpaste, they show a woman. They want to sell a car, they show a woman. They want to sell life insurance, they want to sell car insurance. Put the woman out there and sort of imply that you can enjoy Hare Krishna, Hare, if you have this product. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Maya Devi. Hare Krishna. So, what I was seeing, and this is really like kind of heavy stuff, is all men are safe and situated nicely if they can see women as mother, except for their own wife that's arranged for them. If they can see all other women as mother, then they're protected. That's a safe place to be. So what I'm seeing with this person is they don't know how to do that. They remain completely withdrawn and don't associate or interact with others. And so it's kind of like a snake. A snake, they go in, live in their little hole, and they only come out when they're hungry or to mate, whatever. But so that's the feeling I was getting from this person, is that they were snake-like. And that they couldn't see me as mother. I'm not, looking for a relationship with them or anything, But they had this kind of lust, and they were crawling out of their snake hole, getting excited for lust. And then, so it was making me angry. It was making me very angry, and I see what happened. So I was looking up a little bit what Freud says about these kinds of things. And when this happens with a man, it's called an Oedipus complex, where Freud explains that, our first interactions with our parents, they really, really influence the rest of our life. They're our first gurus, our mother and father. And it really influences we also inherit their genetic makeup. What to speak of being raised by them on the first emotional exchanges, while the little body and mind are forming. So the Oedipus complex, according to some authority here, a desire for sexual involvement with the parent of the opposite sex, and a concomitant sense of rivalry with the parent of the same sex. And Freud says it's a crucial stage in the normal developmental process. Okay, so this is Freud. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And the reason it's called the Oedipus complex is from the Greek culture, the Greek mythological culture, that Oedipus Rex was a king who unwittingly killed his father and married his mother. So, I was seeing that, becoming more aware of it. It's like when you see one little thing, and if it has truth to it, then you start to see it, how it's manifest in many places. It comes into focus. And when this happens with a woman, or a female child, that's the male child. The same thing happens with the female child, and that's called an Electra Complex. Again, going back to the Greek mythology, culture, which makes sense. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But maturing, you don't stay stuck there, just wanting to have sex with your mother or sex with your father. You don't stay stuck there. And hating the other parent, that's something else that happens. Children are attracted to the opposite sex parent and feel hatred toward their same-sex parent, like getting into this competition thing. I remember that happened, really. It really was a shock to me what happened. I don't know how old I was, 9 or 10, who knows. And I was very attached to my father. My mother, it was hard for me to approach her. I didn't approach her. And she had her own stuff to deal with. I love my mother, but she had her own stuff. She has so many good qualities. But, it's a mix. Did the best I could. I'm grateful. I had great parents, really. But I remember when this came out, and I was feeling that connection with my father, and I was feeling very distant from my mother. They were both in the room. And I said something to my father. I said, why is she saying that? Like, it was really obvious that I was more important than she was in the relationship. And they were both shocked to see my attachment to my father. And he got scared. He was angry. He said, "Don't you talk like that to your mother?" And I had to put it all back in focus. And but I remember it was a really all these years I remember that. Like, who's she? Who was she? I didn't recognize my mother. I was like attached to my father, and who's she? What does she want? But these things, you don't stay stuck there. Hopefully. So with this person, I was seeing, this devotee, that they're stuck there. They haven't been able to get out of the Oedipus thing. And so to relate to women as mother, they only can see them as a possible sexual partner. And the concept of mother just doesn't. So I was seeing that was why I was getting angry. Was, I'm your mother. If there's going to be any kind of relationship, it has to be, you have to see me as your mother, as a mother. There are actually many mothers. There's the earth is our mother. The cow is another mother. She gives us milk. A nurse, someone who nurses the child or takes care of the child, is also a mother. The wife of the spiritual master is a mother. The wife of a king or government ruler is also seen as mother. So that was why I see now why I got so angry. And it's interesting, Krishna's so far out, that the snake has come here, and so that I could see firsthand what a snake's life is like. And then I could understand why I wrote that to that person, telling them they were, I saw them as, in a subtle form, as a poisonous snake. I see now why. And Krishna sent this snake here. Show me what a snake is actually like. And it's a non-poisonous snake, and there's nothing to be afraid of. So it's kind of taking the poison and sting out of this relationship that is making me so angry. This person making me so angry. So maybe I can just tone it down a little bit and just accept them as a snake, but don't freak out because they're not poisonous. So, Krishna, Hare Krishna, like on the emotional level, these are very powerful energies. Very, very powerful energies, emotions. Krishna, they have to be connected to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody or helps anybody. I feel better. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare. You don't have to freak out. Yeah, they're snake-like, but they're not necessarily poisonous. And Freud's these constructs, it just gives us a way to discuss these things. Well, it said he was right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Runs deep. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's why there's so many beautiful children that are being born into this Krishna culture. Because you're focusing on Krishna. And everything's adjusted. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. It's interesting, there is one instance that I can think of. It's not very clear, but it's in Dwarka. And one of Krishna's, I think it's Pradumna, married his mother. Yeah. But it wasn't a material situation, because when he was born, he grew into adulthood like right away. And they were a conjugal couple in a previous life. So that's a whole other thing. The problem is when these types of energies are enacted within the material energy. That's where the problem is. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare, in terms of the material bodies and minds. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Stuff is deep. Hare Krishna. I mean, if you're going to get personal with God, it's all going to come out. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. It has to be, otherwise the material energy becomes more, has more of a draw. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Because just understanding with your mind's not enough. Like we see in these cases of these great yogis, like, was it Savari Muni? Practicing these huge austerities, living under the water, in meditation, and becoming distracted by some fish engaging in sexual union. Because Hare Krishna. So just by our own strength of austerities or knowledge or logic and reason or rigid practice is not enough. Is not enough. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. It's like Krishna. Chaitanya says, I've invested all my transcendental energies in my holy name alone. And when we hear that holy name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna. And when we receive that holy name from the pure devotee, then we have access to all those transcendental potencies. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. We have access to the Causeless Mercy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So I think my anger will subside a little bit here, understanding this poor person's situation where they're stuck. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare. I'm not sure I can help them. You want to try, but Krishna can help them. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When they go shopping, sometimes, and people are very helpful that work in these stores. I say, can I help you? And I can't resist. I say, only God can help me. And they laugh. There's so many devotees in this area that I had to go to the home improvement store yesterday to get a curtain rod. And there was a beautiful young man, like from the heavenly planets, with the neck beads and the tilak and the sika, wearing regular clothes, work clothes, and it looked like his son, maybe 15 or 16 years old, man and his son. And it was a visual experience. Anyone seeing them, because they glowed, they're like from the heavenly planets, they glowed. And it was very nice. He introduced himself, Hare Krishna, and I was very happy to meet him and his son. And he said, there's just so many devotees here. It's like a commonplace, everyday experience. Wherever you go, oh, there's another devotee. And so I laughed. I said, oh, yeah, there's another devotee. And then I looked at the people behind the counter at the returns desk. And I said to him, just imagine how they feel. Because it's like these people that work in these, especially I go in this home improvement store all the time, they're getting more and more purified. It's incredible. They're getting higher and higher and higher in their consciousness just by the devotees shopping there all day long. It's phenomenal. They look like devotees. They act so nicely. It's incredible. It's just amazing. So yeah, it's like he said, oh, there's just so many devotees everywhere. I said, imagine how they feel. It's wonderful. Krishna. Okay, Mr. Oedipus Rex. Hare Krishna. The men really do have to see the women as mother. They really do. Hare Krishna. And the women, they have to see men as their son. I have to see Mr. Snaky Poo as a son. Even though he's approaching me in this way. Because he didn't mature enough out of that to be able to do it. So I have to be his mother. Smack him around a little bit. Bad boy. I don't know, I'll figure it out. Krishna. Because it's a community and no one's going everywhere and we're all here. And we're all in the pot cooking together. And the heat's getting turned up. Now we got the internet. Everybody's on the internet talking about everything. Hare Krishna. It's wonderful, isn't it? All right, so this is, I'm going to read a little Krishna book. It's a summary study of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is chapter 46, Delivery of the Message of Krishna to the Gopis. So Uddhava has been visiting with Nanda and Yasoda, and he's from Dwarka. It's a whole different mood of approaching Krishna. It's more, it's intimate, but there's a sense of awe and reverence because they're aware that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he is Narayan himself. And so Nanda and Yasoda, they were absorbed in simply thinking of him as their baby and their loving child. She's breastfeeding him. Nanda's remembering all his activities, his naughty activities, all the things he did in the village, and tending the cows and playing with his boyfriends and having fun with the girls. And he's just, they're overwhelmed in separation. They love Krishna. And they're thinking of him as their child. So Uddhava, he sees them like actually quite miserable, crying. Yasoda was crying. And so he tries to preach to them about who Krishna is. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's creating the material universes. He's in everyone's heart. He's given them all the other stuff. And so it says they discussed throughout the night like that. I don't know what kind of effect. It certainly didn't deter Nanda and Yasoda from their loving emotional involvement with Krishna. It certainly didn't deter them from that, because they're situated eternally in that mood of loving separation. But Krishna sent Uddhava there, try and give them some relief. So maybe just put it in, give them some perspective, so their torment is a little tempered. Give them a little breathing space. So now the Gopis, Uddhava is going to visit the Gopis, and Uddhava gets to see all of this wonderful, loving mood toward the personality of Godhead. So now Krishna has given him a message to deliver to the Gopis, the girls. When the Gopis saw Uddhava, they observed that his features almost exactly resembled the features of Krishna. And they can understand he was a great devotee of Krishna's. His hands were very long, and his arms were just like the petals of the lotus flower. Hands like the petals of a lotus flower. Ooh. He was dressed in yellow-colored garments and wore a garland of lotus flowers. That's like Krishna. His face was very beautiful. Having achieved the liberation of Sarupya, and having the same bodily features as the Lord, Uddhava looked almost like Krishna. In Krishna's absence, the Gopis had been coming dutifully to visit Mother Yasoda's house early in the morning. They knew that Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda were always grief-stricken, and they had made it their first duty to come and pay their respects to the most exalted, elderly personalities of Vrindavan. Seeing the friends of Krishna, Nanda and Yasoda would remember Krishna himself and be satisfied, and the Gopis also would be pleased by seeing Nanda and Yasoda. When the Gopis saw that Uddhava was representing Krishna even in his bodily features, they thought that he must be a soul completely surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They began to contemplate, who is this boy who looks just like Krishna? He has the same eyes, like lotus petals, the same raised nose and beautiful face, and he's smiling in the same way. In all respects, he is resembling Krishna, Shama Sundar, the beautiful dark boy. He is even dressed exactly like Krishna. Where has this boy come from? Who is the fortunate girl who has him for her husband? Thus, they talked among themselves. They were very anxious to know about him. Because they were simply unsophisticated village girls, they surrounded Uddhava. When the Gopis understood that Uddhava had a message from Krishna, they became very happy and called him to a secluded place to sit down. They wanted to talk with him very freely and did not want to be embarrassed before unknown persons. They began to welcome him with polite words and great submissiveness. "We know that you are a most confidential associate of Krishna, and that he has therefore sent you to Vrindavan to give solace to his father and mother. We can understand that family affection is very strong. Even great sages who have taken to the renounced order of life cannot give up family members. Krishna has therefore sent you to his father and mother. Otherwise, he has no further business in Vrindavan. He is now in town. What does he have to know about Vrindavan village or the cows' pasturing grounds? These things are not at all useful for Krishna, because he is now a man in the city. Surely he has nothing to do with persons who do not happen to be his family members. Why should one bother about those who are outside the family, especially and specifically those who are attached as the wives of others? Krishna is interested in them only as long as there is a need of gratification, like the Bumble Bees, who have interest in the flowers as long as they want to take honey out of them. It's very natural and psychological that a prostitute does not care for her paramour as soon as he loses his money. Similarly, when the citizens find that the government is incapable of giving them full protection, they leave the country. A student, after finishing his education, gives up his relationship with the teacher and the school. A rich man, after taking his reward from his worshipper, gives him up. When the fruit season is over, the birds are no longer interested in the tree. Just as eating in the house of the Lord, the guest gives up his relationship with the host. After a forest fire, when there is scarcity of green grass, the deer and other animals give up the forest. And so a man, after enjoying his girlfriend, gives up his connection with her. In this way, all the Gopis began to indirectly accuse Krishna by citing so many similes. Uddhava understood that the Gopis of Vrindavan were all simply absorbed in the thought of Krishna and his childhood activities. While talking about Krishna with Uddhava, they forgot all about their household duties, household businesses. They even forgot about themselves as their interest in Krishna increased more and more. And this is the Bumble Bee paragraph. One of the Gopis, named Srimati Radharani, was so much absorbed in thoughts of Krishna by dint of her personal touch with him that she actually began to talk with a bumblebee which was flying there and trying to touch her lotus feet. While another Gopi was talking with Krishna's messenger Uddhava, Srimati Radharani took that bumblebee to be a messenger from Krishna and began to talk with it as follows. Bumblebee, you are accustomed to drinking honey from the flowers, and therefore you have preferred to be a messenger of Krishna, who is of the same nature as you. I have seen on your mustache the red powder of kumkum, which was smeared on the flower garland of Krishna while he was pressing the breast of some other girl who is my competitor. You are feeling very proud by touching that flower, and your mustaches have become reddish. You have come here carrying a message for me. You are anxious to touch my feet, but, my dear bumblebee, let me warn you, don't touch me. I don't want any messages from your unreliable master. You are the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. It may be that Srimati Radharani purposely addressed that bumblebee sarcastically in order to criticize the messenger Uddhava. Indirectly, Srimati Radharani saw Uddhava as not only resembling Krishna's bodily features, but as being equal to Krishna. In this way, she indicated that Uddhava was as unreliable as Krishna himself. Srimati Radharani wanted to give specific reasons why she was dissatisfied with Krishna and his messengers. She addressed the Bumble Bee. Your master Krishna is exactly of your quality. You sit down on a flower, and after taking a little honey, you immediately fly away and sit in another flower and taste. You're just like your master Krishna. He gave us the chance of tasting the touch of his lips, and then he left altogether. I know also that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, who is always in the midst of the lotus flower, is constantly engaged in Krishna's service. But I do not know why she has become so captivated by Krishna. She is attached to him, although she knows his actual character. As far as we are concerned, we're more intelligent than the goddess of fortune. We are not going to be cheated anymore by Krishna or his messengers. According to expert opinion, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is a subordinate expansion of Srimati Radharani. As Krishna has numerous expansions of Vishnumurtis, so his pleasure potency Radharani also has innumerable expansions of goddesses of fortune. Therefore, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is always anxious to be elevated to the position of the Gopis. So Radharani, when she sang, Hey Krishna, we are more intelligent than the goddess of fortune, because we're not going to be cheated by Krishna. We know his character. She knows his character, but she's attached to him, and we don't understand why. We're more intelligent than she is, because she's a subordinate expansion of Radha. Hey Krishna, and Radharani is the most intelligent. She's the superior. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. So there's really quite a long conversation here. And so I'll just leave it at that. So, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.